Our next award is in the area of student affairs, and we're delighted to recognize a real driving force in the area of bringing youth to humanitarian causes, Jewish youth, Danny Richmond. Danny has been, much love too, I can see that. Danny has helped organize youth trips to Argentina, Costa Rica, New Orleans, and the Sudan. He's organized HIV/AIDS education treks. He was accompanied by the Governor General to Africa, worked with the Canadian Young Judea House, National Program Director there. He's helped to take a group through our organization to Argentina to consolidate the relationships between Canadians and Argentine Jews living in poverty. He's a real spark for the children. He knows about their moral absolutes, about their want to help, and he's our winner in the area of student affairs. Would you please welcome Danny Richmond.
Distinguished guests, colleagues, mentors, family, and friends. Growing up, the stories I most enjoyed hearing about were the ones that involved the townsfolk of Chelm. For those of you who have never heard of this great shtetl nation, it is within the tradition of Yiddish folklore, the legendary capital of empty pursuits and downright foolishness. And somehow, oddly enough, I identified with these people. Not surprising to my family, probably. They had such wonderful ideas. Capture the moon, move a mountain. What kid doesn't want to try their hand at such magnificent accomplishments? And yet, as we grow older, a funny thing happens. We no longer refer to these people as the wise men of Chelm. We refer to them as the idiots of Chelm, the fools. They are the original Schmendricks. This shift is, for me, indicative of how many of us come to think about ideals and, more importantly, the people who live according to them. The struggle is, do we smile and respect them for their grand ideas and youthful exuberance, or do we judge them only according to the impossibility of their projects? For me, the same problem arises when thinking about our community and the way it relates to our youth. How do we relate to the idealism of youth? How do we not stifle their passion, even when our experience tells us that they are bound for great challenges, disappointments, and even at times failures? In my work over the last few years, whether at Veahavta, the House, Young Judea, or Youth Challenge International, I've been very fortunate to work with many bright and passionate youth, a number of whom are at the back this evening. Being able to work with my own generation is both meaningful and exciting. Not only because they believe that a better world is possible, but more fundamentally because they are willing to take a part in the change that needs to happen. This is why I believe the tradition of Tikun Olam has experienced such a rebirth in my generation. People are responding to the notion that to be a Jew is to see the world as one's responsibility, as we've so often heard. This is a basic principle that I have learned through my experiences working with Rabbi Rafi Lipner at the House, and even yesterday at a lecture given by Professor Paul Franks at Bet Tzedakah Synagogue, that what it means to be a mensch, to live a good and ethical life, is contingent upon our ability to respond, to relate, and to engage with others. The ethics of Tikun Olam force us to think beyond our borders. It acknowledges that we have a shared responsibility in our planet's well-being. It urges us, as Dr. Dor said earlier, to feel the suffering of a Congolese or a Darfurian woman as if it were our own. It empowers us to find solutions to the questions of homelessness in our city, as Veahavta is trying to do. In facing these real-life examples, the greatest challenge faced by youth and adults alike are the sheer scale of the problem. Their complexity feeds the notion that they are insurmountable. To fix them, indeed, would be comparable to moving a mountain or capturing the moon. It is a great honor for me to receive this award along such individuals who have done just that. They have pursued their ideals despite every indication that they might fail. For this reason, I'm proud to say that many of them are not only our role models, but have become our colleagues of ours and active partners in mending the world. I would use their example to point to a fundamental shift happening in our society today. 15 years ago, no one would have expected the number of youth-led NGOs we have today. And it would have been unthinkable to have a youth as a member of a formal state delegation. Again, these challenges are brought about in part by those who recognize an untapped potential in youth, not just as consumers, but as citizens, as voters, and as agents of change. By adapting these structures in our society to include, and more importantly, to encourage and seek out the voices of youth, we have begun to set out on this ancient task together. In concluding, there are many individuals in this room, friends, colleagues, and mentors whom I share this honor with. I also want to acknowledge my parents, Les and Mary Richmond, without whom we all know I'd be a schmendrick at best. To borrow a phrase, I am like their paler photocopy of these two wonderful and tirelessly giving individuals. Finally, I'd like to thank Veahavta for this honor, and for more importantly, what it stands for, the recognition that of youth as leaders of today. There are many challenges that lie ahead of us that we all know. My belief is that these challenges will require an idealism, but an idealism that is informed by history, by memory, by experience, and by study. Dama ein bat, ulaan ata holech. From wherever we are coming to where we can all arrive, may we do it in the spirit of hope and partnership. Thank you very much.